One Way Fighting.
But I'm happy as you brought up Tyrone Woodley. So Woodley and Vincent Luque, what did you make of the performance?
You look, Tyrone come out to win it.
Yeah.
He even said his over aggression was what got him caught. That meme that they've got where he's running back to the cage, then it says there's Tyrone looking for his Bellator contract.
I haven't seen it.
You know, when he got stumbled and he stumbled back to the cage and he's facing the cage. There's just a little line saying, "Look at Tyrone looking for his Bellator contract."
I love the little memes, mate. That mate, that performance from Woodley, it was one of the best I've seen him. Although, okay, yeah, he lost, but he never looked as good in a loss, if that makes sense. I mean, he did. He generally came out, and you can see he wanted it. Like, he was trying. And I feel like with this fight, for him, you don't have to hang your head in shame. I mean, you came out, you fought, you wanted it.
Getting cut,
you got caught. Is he what, sorry?
He's getting cut. Did you not see Dana White?
No. What did he say?
They said to him, "Look, what do you do with Tyrone? That's his 5th loss, is it now?" And they said, but he came out and he brought it. And Dana just sort of said, "Look, Tyrone was great. He came out, he did what he had to do." He went, "But how old is he? 39.
Yeah.
That many losses." He went, "He's not making a title run, is he?" So effectively, without saying it, he said, "That's, you know, if he's got a fight left on his contract, there's a little testimonial for you, but otherwise, fuck off." Which I can see what he means.
Yeah.
But I'd have liked to have been told first. If I was tired. I'd like to have had that conversation with you.
I think it's a little bit bittersweet though, because it's kind of like, and I said this on the last podcast. I said, you know, don't be surprised to see these big names go, if they're on losing streaks, or if Dana White feels like they're not going to get a run at the title, they're kind of clogging up the division, like dead weight type thing, that, you know, they can go. But it was frustrating because it was kind of like, it was a brilliant performance. Well, it was when it started. I mean, again, to see Woodley,
it was he put it in there. He put in a fight that I'd go and pay to watch.
I would. And know what it was? There's no shame in it. He just got beat by a younger, better fighter. That's it. No excuses, no injuries.
His legs went though, didn't he?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He got caught in the exchange, and then, you know, he was already rocked, and then he got submitted, and that's it. There's no controversy, no injuries, no nothing, no excuses.
He was like half out on his feet when that sub was when he got took down and that sub was going in. He didn't know. He had his back against the cage, didn't he? But he didn't know how to defend it in that moment, not because he didn't know how to, but because he was still half out.
So that Dar stroke, he claimed that he landed it on Darren Till, like, he knows that choke, but you know, it's like anything. He was rocked, you know, didn't defend it in time, and that was it. This is the point though. There's no kind of, Woodley never pulled the trigger, or, you know, Woodley wasn't himself. He was himself. He was right there, and he just lost to a better fighter.
Oh yeah,
I think
he went out on his shield, like,
exactly. So I think with that one, he's a fan. You know what? He's got a fan of me. I kind of went off weird. But you know what? I went off him, and then I'll be honest. During that run up to Darren Till, the way he was being treated, the way everyone was the way the UFC like executives were like just all on Darren Till, and he was just dismissing Woodley. I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit like, you know, I think I wouldn't mind Woodley kind of putting up a good fight, and, you know, the way he won and how emotional it was, I was made up for him. And then obviously the run up to Usman, where like he's just I don't know, just chatting all this shit, making as if like, you know, he's amazing, can't be touched. Usman shouldn't even be in the octagon with him. Then he gets dominated.
Dana White for that though. Basically calling Woodley this, that, and the other every 5 minutes. He's boring, this, that, and the other, and he's controversial and as shit with Dana White.
I think so, because so there was I remember when Woodley fought Kobe Covington, and this was during the big whole Black Lives Matter movement, and he was at the press conference, and every question he got asked, he just responded, "I just, Black Lives Matter. I feel Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter." Now, I just feel like it's a good example to use because of his approach. It's like he doesn't really articulate himself in the best way, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like he just needs like a better boxing team, or maybe someone to kind of, help him kind of express himself. If that makes sense. Like, he'll use race issues as an issue. So when he fought Wonderboy, for example, he fought Wonderboy, and he brought it up, and he brought up race as an issue of why he's not being marketed in a certain way, why kind of he's the least underappreciated champion. And obviously, you lose a lot of fans when you say that, because to a lot of people, yeah, Anderson Silva. This is what I'm saying. It wasn't true. Is the fact of you're not being, you're not being exactly, yeah, exactly. And I feel like he just lost a lot of fans with that, with his excuses of like, I just wasn't there. Something was happening mentally with me. I don't know. It was just all the excuses that just went off him. But then in this fight, I was a fan again.
That first point to the Black Lives Matter thing, I can see it from 2 points of view. As a role model in that, you're in a position where you can sway people to, what you believe is the correct thing, which I appreciate, and that's fine. I see it from another point of view. Dana White. Imagine Dana White didn't own the UFC, and he was, let's say, a fucking accountant, owned an accountant's firm, and you were doing a Zoom meeting, and every time they asked you about the fucking tax figures, you went Black Lives Matter. That's not what we're here for. So I can see it from that point of view. I also see it from my point of view. I watch the news. I don't need to fucking hear it off someone else. I know what's happening in the world. So I've paid me fucking pay-per-view to watch fucking fighting, and here you call them a bell end. So it's a hard one to talk about, really, because you've got pros and cons with it, and I wouldn't want to touch a large pole.
But that's the thing. But that example that you just gave, then I think is fantastic, and I was actually going to use the same example of what you just said. No, I'm happy you said it because it's perfect. But you're saying exactly, mate. If it was in a working environment, and I'll use the example that you just said. You're in a Zoom meeting with your manager, or whatever, and they're asking you questions, and all your responses, Black Lives Matter. This is what I'm saying. It's his approach. The ideology behind what he was doing was fantastic. I've got no issues with that. Absolutely not. It was a serious subject, and I'm happy he's speaking about it. But it's the way you go around it. He just does things to rubs people the wrong way, if that makes sense. Doesn't do things like
the thing is, there's certain people out there that don't see it as he's rubbing you the wrong way, because the way the idea is it's such a topic that's not being talked about. They've got to push it in your face in order for you to. Because if you just said it once and say, just by the way, I'd like to take a second to mention this, would have even made the fucking news? If all his responses were that, I see what he was doing, but again, I also see why people aren't happy about it. So,
but it was the way, though, because he left himself basically no room for maneuver. You start the first three questions that he got asked: Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. You then put the media in a situation where, well, what do we do? Like, we can't, like, I'm just, I'll ask him anything, and he's just going to say Black Lives Matter. There's no. I feel like he should have just handled it better. Black Lives Matter, and then go into it, explain his own personal reasons as to why. It's like, Black Lives Matter. That's it. There's no substance to it. Like, go into detail. This is just like a short example of how Tyrone Woodley rubs people the wrong way, of why kind of and I'll bring up the excuses as well when he loses these fights, and he just has all these excuses. It's like this feel sorry for me attitude. So I was just saying, in this fight, I was happy because there was just none of that, and that's not the narrative. It was the fact that if he went out, there's no excuses, and he just lost to a better fighter, and that's it. That is it. So, you know, in regards to the future, I agree with that. He's what, late 30s, you know, coming up to 40s. He ain't gonna fight for the. He's what, sorry?
39. Dana White said. Sorry, can you not hear me?
39. No, yeah, 39. So yeah, he's not gonna make another run at the belt, is he? So you question it, thinking, what do you want next? Is it just money or what? You've got other kind of ventures, you know, stand-up comedian. I know we joked about it, but you know, singer, rapper, and all that.
Imagine paying 30 quid for his show and he comes out and says Black Lives Matter, then just gets off.
I know, yeah, 30 minutes straight. And I love it. I'll probably pay for it because it's Tyrone Woodley. You know what I mean? I'll do it.
He's a step up from Brendan Sharp.
Oh, mate, I love Brendan Sharp.